the good times roll. Guys, well, here we are, a bit over a year later, and where do I begin? The obvious, I'm driving in the Firebird, and yes, it's running the LS as we speak. But before we get to all of that, I'll sort of run through just a couple of things. If we go back to October last year, you'll notice I did a video called Last Run in a 301. It's deeper than just a 301. The last run was a run with my best friend Wayne, who has heart failure. And our dream was always to take a road trip to Melbourne from Queensland, which is a good 20-hour drive, and just hit the road together and spend some time. Unfortunately, Wayne passed away on the 1st of December last year. I haven't made any videos since because it's been such a struggle for me to deal, coming to grips without him, not having him here. It's been a whole new world. I know people out there know what I'm talking about. Live long enough and you'll all understand it. So what happened? It was really simple. I spent 1 year, 1 month, 6 days putting the LS in. And it was an adventure. A couple of things went wrong. Not with the install. I got very sick. I had a mystery illness that basically had me paralyzed in bed in hospital for a while. They never worked out what it was. Hey, I'm still good. Back in the gym and training as well. Just started after about 6 months off. But 1 year, 1 month, 6 days, I finished the car. And I called Wayne. And I said, hey brother, I said, I'm coming over. We're going to take just a run around town. And he said, oh, wait a week, I'm getting stronger. He thought he was going to get stronger. And I insisted. I said, no, I'm coming around to pick you up. So I drove around. And I went in there and he was on his own. And family were out shopping. He was very weak. He'd lost a lot of weight. He was a big muscular guy before. But I got him out to the car and we went for a run down to the chemist. And he was wrapped, like just the whole, that sound and being in a Firebird and knowing that it took all that effort to finish it. So I came back, I dropped him off and I said, I love you brother. I said, I've got to go do my wife's birthday tonight, 30th of November. We'll catch up tomorrow. He said, yeah, sure. So I went back, did the party, spoke to him once that night on the phone. Same thing, just he said he loved me, and we always say that. And turned around and then I got a phone call and they said he'd just passed. And I went around there and I held him in my arms and I thanked him for 30 years of being the absolute greatest friend I've ever had. I know this sounds like a bit of a sob story, and it probably is, but it's the thing that I lived through, and I'm just so happy we took that short run, even if it was to chemist to get Gaviscon. We managed to do it, and it was just such a moment that it'll be stuck in my memory forever. I know I'll see him again, which is all good, but that's that. So that was the end of that journey, but where are we with the car? Well, here's the good news. The 5.7 litre is in and it's running. It's running like a dream. All I can say to you guys out there, if you're considering doing an engine swap and you're not sure of the difference with an LS, it blew my mind. I mean, the old 4.9 went nice. There was no rocket. But this thing here, like when you give it a tromping down, that's just gentle, and she sits back there and gets along. She's got a nice note. I did a 3-inch exhaust system, almost completely to the back, just shy of the axles where it curves around. I left the 2 1/4 or whatever they're on it, but it's catless. It's running high flow mufflers on it, 3-inch of a set of 1 3/8-inch Hedman headers. The engine, not really much done to it. It's a stock 5.7 litre GDO. You guys in America would know it as a GDO Pontiac. It's a Holden Monaro motor here in Australia. We used them in a lot of our Commodores and our Monaros. They're all Holden. That's an Australian vehicle. And it's just a great motor. It's a 5.7 litre, just like they put in the 2002 Firebirds in the US, the Camaros. It's an alloy motor. It's very light compared to the old motor. I sat on the bonnet and it still didn't come down to where it should be, so I'd probably sheared over 100 kilos off this bad boy. It's exceptionally economical. Like, the one thing I was shocked with is I went from a 4.9 litre to a 5.7. My fuel economy, and I give it stompings, it's cheaper. I mean, I don't know the American conversion, you might want to do it, but I'm getting about, I reckon, 11 per 100. The old one was getting about 15 per 100 kilometres. So she's quite inexpensive to run, which has been a great thing for all of it. How difficult was the whole job? I'm not a mechanic, I just get that known. I knew nothing about LSs. I've never installed an LS. I've never done a wiring loom. What's my background? I was a computer technician, nothing advanced. I sit there and just debug them and stuff like that. I was a bouncer for a long time, and I hosted a karaoke show, which I still do. That's about it. That's about all my experience is. So you're probably saying, well, how the hell did you manage to do that? You know, no, I wouldn't say I'm some super genius or highly intelligent in that respect, but I have a natural logic. But YouTube and the videos, you can do it too. Shout out to you. Great video on doing the wiring loom, which I did all myself. Bunch of other guys out there that just have great videos. Look, take your time. If you've got a project and you want to do this and you're thinking, I've never done a car before, LS's compared to the old motors in some ways are much more simplified. Yeah, I know what you're saying, all the wiring and everything else. No. You're not dealing with carburetors. You're not dealing with a lot of the other iron stuff, you know, where you have to have all these different intakes, you know. It actually is just a very simple layout. The computer does most of the controlling. My computer I got was already unlocked. It had the VATs removed. It's mathless. It was done that way when I got the computer. The guy bought the motor and the computer was already set. And the computer actually had written on it, mathless, VATs removed, 308 diff. Funny enough, these 1980 Firebirds came out with a 308 diff ratio as well. So that was a bonus. Now I haven't got it tuned yet. I think it probably could use a tune, who knows? Till I do it, I'll find out how much different it runs with a tune. But look, it's just a great car to drive. Cost-wise, all up, I think you're going to have to budget yourself. Look, I did this myself. I had a couple of friends help pull the motor out. I did everything else myself, including put the motor in 2 times. Except for the transmission, where I had to get someone else to pull it out and change the ring on it. I will do a video series on that. The spacer that goes between your torque converter and flywheel, between that is a Hughes engineering one. Yeah, it'll work fine on most applications. I've kept the TH350 Pontiac gearbox. You have to put a spacer between that for it to fit, to adapt to the LS engine, because there's bolts missing. And unfortunately, that 1/4 of an inch difference means that the Hughes spacer, it won't fit. It'll fit, but when I put it in, stitched it together, put a gear, nothing happened. As a matter of fact, it spewed out transmission fluid because I forgot to put the seal on the kick-down cable, this little boot seal. I forgot to put that on there. Actually, someone lost it. It wasn't me when they were pulling it apart. So I had to get a friend to pull apart the transmission and everything else, but they had to pull off the exhaust, so there's a bit of work. Look, greatest thrill, turning over that key and just hearing it start. You know, it started the first kick. I'm not joking. First turn without exhaust and just the headers. She fired up. You know, my mother-in-law stuck to the roof like a cat, but it worked. It was fabulous. So, you know, I got to say I can be very pedantic when it comes to making sure I'm checking things. So I double-checked a lot of things. The wiring loom, it's tedious, but it's not hard. You know, I really want to explain that to you. A lot of people might think I couldn't do the wiring. Oh, yeah, you must be good at it. You can do it too. Has a great video series. I use that. I use LT1 Swap and their diagrams, which I printed up. I took my loom, I labeled it, I stripped the wires, I then relayed it out and re-loom covered the whole thing, and then put the computer inside the car, underneath where the tiny little computer used to be for the knock sensor on these old cars. I put that in here, and it means the engine bay looks a lot cleaner, and I'll have a video, you'll see what I've done to the engine and how it looks. It doesn't overheat. I kept the original Firebird radiator, that's right. A lot of people said you can't do it. Running cool as. She checked it in our temperature, it's barely getting over 92 degrees. If I sit idling, probably your temperature in the US, 100 degrees, I maybe go up to 96. Thermo fans kick in 97, and they tick off in about 2 minutes. So that's the original radiator. So it wasn't necessary to buy a new radiator. Remember, this is a cheap swap. I didn't go out of my way to spend a fortune because, quite frankly, I didn't have it. So this was a job to be able to have a cruise with my friend, which, as I said before, we got to do. Short as it was, we still did it to the day. But there's a lot of things about you want to consider when you do this, when it comes to doing one of these conversions. The swap in the box is great. Here is the only problem I had. You get the Hamburger oil sump. It's a red, fire orange, red, whatever sump. It doesn't come with a dipstick built in. In Australia, we have the dipstick built into the sump. Well, what I didn't realise after I went and then drilled a hole and welded in a tube, got someone to weld in a tube, MOK Engineering, thank you very much, you can actually pull a bung out of the motor, I guess you call it a bung, and you can put a dipstick in it. I made that mistake, but apparently it won't make a difference. Everything else was pretty straightforward. If you use the Pontiac TH350, use the adapter kit. If you need one of those little Hughes sleeves, the different ones that I've got, slightly bigger, I'll take photos of them, I'll show you. Let me know. I've got a guy here who'll machine them up for you, and that it'll save you changing your gearbox out. It'll save you a lot of money. And it's running fine. So that's all pretty good. The fuel injection, tank sync, PA4, I went up slightly higher because I thought I want to put a cam, a turbo, pull a lot more horsepower. So there's hardly any point going for the cheap, spend the extra $80 and get the top end one. Keep in mind, I'm in Australia, guys, as you might have guessed from both my accent and everyone driving on the wrong side of the road. It's more expensive for me to bring a lot of stuff over, but the motors were fairly cheap. When I say cheap, the Americans are going to laugh at this. I paid $1,800 Australian, which is probably about $1,300 US for an alloy 5.7, including the loom. It's done 120,000 kilometers, which I'm guessing is probably about 70,000 miles. It really hasn't been broken in. I can smell that fish and chips. You ever come to Australia, by the way, fish and chips, right over here at Charis Seafood. Oh boy, good fish and chips. Look, the other thing, the exhaust, I took it to a friend of mine, Gold Coast Custom Exhaust. Al, you're a legend for finishing it literally days before being able to take it for a drive. 3-inch exhaust system, stainless steel, high flow, catless, and just 2 O2 sensors. You know, just using the front O2 sensors, no rears. I've hooked up the mill or the error light to the dash, and if you look at one of my videos, you show how I did that. You can use an existing check engine light in the Firebirds that's not really ever used, and it will light up. I've checked it using OBD2, no errors. It's not kicking back any problems. It's been really smooth, actually, I've got to say. It's been quite smooth. I mean, these are old cars, they get a bit rattly. This one's quite tight for its years. I think I've still got to do the front suspension. It's sitting up like that because of the weight loss, so I'm going to drop that front down. And obviously, next stage is going to be a cam and a turbo, because I'm driving a turbo Trans Am as it states on the back fin, And it's always annoying when people go, is it really turbo? Well, these really were. And I have the original engine, which still runs to prove it. But I want to put a cam, a turbo on it, and I'm going to take that road trip that I promised. I'll do a video on it. And I'm going to be coming over to the States as well, guys. So if anyone over there wants to hook up, please let me know where you are. I'd love to catch up with you guys. Mitch, coming down to Georgia, brother. I'm coming down to Georgia to catch up with you. I used to live in Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama. Yeah. But I'm going to come over there and catch up with a few guys. I might buy another Firebird and drive it while I'm there. So we'll see what happens. But if you're still watching this video, you're either bored or I'm interested in you in some way. But I appreciate you guys hanging by and listening. Look, overall, my overall take on the whole job, from 1 to 10 on difficulty, I'd rate it probably about a 7, with all the equipment about a 6. Cost wise, like I said, Australia, I'd budget, I think I spent $6,500 Australian. That's only about 4,800 US. It's not a lot of money. That's including the motor and all the bits, plus my import cost, getting my stuff from over there, from where you are. And pleasure, once it's done, it's immense. I mean, these old cars, they turned heads back in the 80s when I had one of these. I had a black one back in the 80s, 87 I had one, which was in the same model, 1980, but I drove it in 1987. It turned heads. Now, I come back from parking it and there's people taking photos. There's people leaning on it. People I just drove past were just mouthing Trans Am. You know, it's a great car. Here's the cool thing. You got an old car with a new motor, you know, which is great. And these motors, they're so durable, they're so torquey, they're so light. They're apparently, from what I've been told, exceptionally reliable. And you can do so much to them just with a little tune. Take them in and give them a tune. So, it's a great vehicle. It's a great car. Why not take an old thing, throw a new motor in it, drive it every day like I do? You know, I don't care if there's a problem with this LS. I can get them anywhere. I might upgrade myself to an LS3 or an LSA, you know, or something else down the road, but at least I can unbolt this and bolt it straight in. If I want to put the old turbo motor back in once I've rebuilt it, I can pretty well do that, I reckon, in 2 days. Here's a question some people are asking. It took you a year, a bit. Yes, it did. If I had the money and everything already sitting there in the garage on the floor and the time to do it, I could tell you how long it would take me. I would take maximum, even for an uneducated person like myself when it comes to motors, 4 days. Literally 4 days. And I add the extra 2 days. The reason I added 2 days, I would have said 2, but 2 days extra, because if I've got to take it down the exhaust and book it in or anything else like that, that would just consume an extra day. But honestly, 4 days max you could do this. Do it with someone else, do it on your own, as long as you've got the equipment, safety first, of course. But it's not a huge job. It's not as big as people think, you know, you can do this pretty straightforward. But look guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I didn't bore you to death. Thank you for watching. Thank you guys for being loyal. And please subscribe, please like, dislike, whatever you like. And stay tuned for the LS Turbo video coming up. That's going to be the next one. Until next time, take care. This is DJ from Australia. We'll see you real soon. Bye for now.